There is a land beginning with majestic mountains that sweep down over lush green plains, through cascading waterfalls, deep valleys, and vast dams. A land where game reserves teem with wildlife and the warm Indian Ocean, filled with colorful marine life, laps onto beautiful beaches. In the heart is a rainbow nation of culturally diverse, vibrant people, where world-class infrastructure, ports and cosmopolitan cities are a gateway to Africa and the world. KwaZulu-Natal, our kingdom is your stage. In 2016, KwaZulu-Natal will celebrate 100 years of filmmaking with over 144 films or parts thereof having been filmed in the province.
KwaZulu-Natal has locations, no doubt about that.
It's a case of location, location, location.
We certainly have a very international look and feel about our province.
We've got the scenery, we've got the weather, we've got everything.
There's so much that we've got to offer, all within a sort of, 100-kilometer radius.
We've got the beautiful, beautiful coastline, the lush green hills, the jungles. You can't beat it.
KZN has got locations for Africa.
Between 1916 and 1938, leading up to the Second World War, a number of films were produced by African Film Productions. Filmed in black and white, most films were silent and based on authors such as H. Rider Haggard and F. Horace Rose.
The early cinema in South Africa, KwaZulu-Natal and Peter Maritzburg plays quite a role. And that's largely because of F. Horace Rose, who was the editor of the Natal Witness from 1904 to 1925. So somehow he got involved with the African Film Productions that was based in Johannesburg. He wrote the scripts for about 4 films, but the best known one is probably Symbol of Sacrifice, set in the Anglo-Zulu War. And African Film Productions came down here to shoot scenes here, quite a lot of which was shot around Peter Maritzburg.
The magnitude of the Symbol of Sacrifice is that it featured scenes with 25,000 extras, as well as the funeral procession of the French Prince Imperial Louis Napoleon.
The other film that he was involved with is quite well known as Voice of the Waters, and that was shot just outside Maritzburg in the little town of Howick by Howick Falls.
By now, international production companies began to recognize the value of KwaZulu-Natal as a location for filming.
In 1936, a film unit did come here and shot the first sound version of King Solomon's Mines, which curiously was part musical, and the star was Paul Robeson, the African-American pioneer of civil rights and as well as being a famous singer. These scenes, which were major scenes in the film, the climactic battle, were shot just outside Maritzburg in Otto's Bluff. But also there's the scenic shots of the doubles wandering through the Drakensberg, and much is made of the sort of Drakensberg scenery, and against this backdrop it's back projected with Paul Robeson singing the song Mighty Mountain. So the Drakensberg is very much a feature of the film, and clearly what drew the filmmakers here.
We really have a climate that is conducive to shoots for most of the year.
We've got an ocean that you can swim in.
We've got the best weather. KZN all year round, it's warm, it's summer.
Post-Second World War marked an accelerated growth in the production of large-scale, big-budget international films.
The first sort of major production is probably the Zoltan Korda directed version of Cry the Beloved Country. Alan Paton's book had been a huge bestseller internationally, and so it was a natural that a film would follow. And they stuck to the locations that are used in the book. To Akopo, which is where the book begins, came the stars of the film, Canada Lee, and at that stage a not particularly well-known Sidney Poitier. The biggest international film, it's only the most famous shot in KwaZulu-Natal and still famous today, is the film Zulu, starring Stanley Baker and Michael Caine. Zulu was notable for featuring one of the film performances as an actor of Chief Mangosuthu Buthelezi. The film proved a huge success both critically and financially, and to this day it's shown at least once a year on British television, and thanks to that it seeds a new interest in the Anglo-Zulu War, and that in turn seeds an interest in tourism in South Africa.
Officer commanding Rorke's Drift.
The next big sort of international co-production that was done here was Zulu Dawn. A group of people got the money together to do Zulu Dawn, and they came to South Africa and they came to Pietermaritzburg, which was used extensively during certainly the opening sequences of the film. For the battle scenes they moved to Babanango in Zululand. They also used the Buffalo River, or the Umzanyati River near Rorke's Drift for a river crossing scene. One of the other interesting facets of Zulu Dawn is the very large international cast that came here, and which famously included Peter O'Toole as Lord Chelmsford and Burt Lancaster as Colonel Durnford. It was very much his presence, along with Burt Lancaster, that probably bankrolled the film and gave it the sort of marquee billing that it had.
There's something about creativity that does somehow reside or manifest itself in this province.
The acting talent is incredible.
The filming of such epic films in KwaZulu-Natal encouraged the birth of South African acting legends such as Alfred Dudley Nokwe, Henry Cele, and Simon Mabhunu Sabela, who is regarded as the father of film in KwaZulu-Natal.
A major figure in South African film is Simon Sabela.
Simon Sabela was a role model. No matter, he was a trendsetter.
He was just 25 years ahead of his time in many ways in what he was doing.
When you know him, then it means you are in. It was Simon Mabhunu Sabela.
Simon Sabela's professional acting career began in 1963 with the film Death Drums Along the River. He featured in over 34 films, acting alongside International Academy Awards nominated and winning greats such as Roger Moore, Michael Caine, Richard Harris, Ernst Borgnine, Peter O'Toole and Anthony Quinn.
Anthony Quinn had the highest praise. He said he's the best actor, best guy to work with. He got all the best.
Wir hielten oft gemeinsame Versammlungen ab.
Simon Sabela is one of 2 South Africans who have portrayed Nelson Mandela in film. He played Madiba in the German TV movie Der Rivonia Prose.
Simon was a great actor.
All of us, looked upon him as saying, wow.
Simon Mabhunu never acted. He just lived the character. From him, we learned to be the character.
Simon Sabela went on to become the first black director in South Africa with his directorial debut, Uteliwe.
Simon just had this knack of firstly knowing what the audience wanted, and secondly of finding all this talent. Where did Ndaba Mhlongo come from? Where did Bingo Bentley come from? Where did Cynthia Shange come from? Roland Mkwebu. Simon found him. Many of those people came from KZN.
He was a very good people's director. He'll emulate to you if you can't do it the way he wants you to do it. And then he'll emulate and say, this is what I want you to do this way and that way.
He was an actor's director.
He was directing, he was telling people what to do. He was almost, he ran the whole thing, you know.
Other films he directed were Inkedama, Ngaka, Isivumelwano, Ikata Lemnyama, and Inyakanyaka.
Simon is a person who has got quite a big sense of humor.
He had two dogs. One was called Forster, and the other one was called Fuvut.
He was really down to earth. He was a very humble guy. There's no one to beat Simon Savela, not only KwaZulu-Natal, but also South Africa. Simon Savela needs to be remembered as a hero of the black film industry.
I don't think as an industry, we've given him the credit that he's really due.
He's a legend, he's an icon, and he's everything.
Simon Sabela brought a much-needed cultural authenticity to the stories of black people. For the first time, these stories were told through the eyes of a black man. 4 years after the world's first cinema in America, South Africa opened its first permanent cinema, the Electric Theatre in Durban, followed by the Rinko and the Grand in Pietermaritzburg. The first black-owned cinema was opened in Durban by the Avalon Group in 1939.
Ten years after the opening of the first Avalon Theatre in Durban, the company began to experience the rude intrusions of the apartheid regime. The Avalon Group endured a lot of pain and suffering because of the oppressive pressures of the apartheid system. Our assets and businesses were expropriated willy-nilly, and very many of these positions were then taken up by the more privileged, advantaged sector.
Cinema for South Africans became the voice of the people, reflecting the political mood and struggle of the time.
At a time when all our political leaders were in prison, Madiba and the ANC made the call for anybody in their own right to try and do whatever they could to speak out against the system, to speak out against apartheid. My feeling was the thing to do is make a movie. So the first movie we did was Place of Weeping. We did it on the run from the police, a movie told by South Africans about South Africa during that time.
Sarafina, although not filmed in KwaZulu-Natal, was also produced by Anand Singh's Video Vision Entertainment and written by renowned KZN playwright Bongeni Ngema.
The country was on fire at that time. I was sitting with Winnie Mandela one day and we were talking about the future of the youth in South Africa. And she made a statement which triggered the idea of Sarafina. She said, "You know, Bongeni, I wish I had a big blanket to cover the faces of the little ones so that they do not see the bitter end." Through the sound of music, I found a way to tell a story of a plight of a people. Many other people approached me to make a movie of the musical while it was on Broadway. Among those companies was HBO. In fact, I had signed an MOU, but Anand being a homeboy, you know, I felt persuaded to go with him.
It's about those unions who put down their tools and demanded freedom.
Together with the birth of South Africa's democracy, the challenge that began to face the majority of South Africans moved from a political to a socio-economic struggle. Filmed in northern KwaZulu-Natal, the Academy Award-nominated film Yesterday deals with the plight of HIV and AIDS in rural areas. Izululami by award-winning director Madoda Ngayana portrays the hardships of poverty in the streets of KwaZulu-Natal.
The film ended up getting more than 9 awards. The thing that fulfilled me was the award that the child got, the Best Actress. Tsepang The little boy who acted as Chili Bite, who used to live in the informal settlement, he has now used the money he gets from the film to build his family a new house. Those are things that for me are really a value. You give yourself enough time to look and to trust and believe in this province, you'll find things that will amaze you.